I'll get right to the point.
Please do.
While there have been a number of shows that have steeply declined during their run and ended with more of a fizzle than a bang, looking at you, Game of Thrones, there are some that managed to stick the landing. That's why in this video, we will take a look at 10 or so TV finales that actually lived up to the hype. Spoilers ahead.
Let's go. All right, fine. Ring.
Starting off with one of the most recent shows to end, in my eyes, Succession is one of the most perfect shows ever made, filled with high drama, dark humor, unserious people bickering and competing for power, and however you categorize Greg and Tom's relationship. Succession was a modern Shakespearean comedy, drama, and tragedy rolled into one. The season 4 finale had a really high bar to clear, but boy, did it stick the landing. The finale was effectively a greatest hits episode, having everything that made the show great, like the Roys backstabbing one another, Tom and Greg engaging in fisticuffs, and Kendall having an existential crisis. And the show wrapped up its King Lear-esque story in perfect fashion. Was a successor actually crowned? Spoiler warning, yes, but with major strings attached, reminding us all that there are never ever true winners in this cutthroat world. If there's one series finale that wasn't necessarily mind-blowing nor hit the heights of previous episodes, but was extremely satisfying, it's Breaking Bad's. The writers announced they dug themselves into a slight hole when they started the season giving Walt a massive machine gun without any idea of what to do with it, but in the end they figured it out, setting the stakes throughout the season as Walt confronts Uncle Jack and his crew in a massive climax. The finale tied up all the show's loose ends nicely and served as a satisfying conclusion to Walt's arc and his journey of change. Vince Gilligan proved that he could make lightning strike not just once, but twice, as his Breaking Bad spin-off, Better Call Saul, also stuck the landing, with some fans even arguing that Better Call Saul surpassed its predecessor in terms of quality.
Right? Go grab a juice box, have a nap, go on.
Like Walt in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul ended with a bittersweet wrap-up of Jimmy McGill's arc, although with a little less finality. Like Breaking Bad, it's a great episode in amongst a series of great episodes. If the last 3 shows were examples of high drama and big endings, The Wire is an example of the opposite. The gritty cop drama, which sought to be as true to real life as possible, was subversive throughout its run, and this is what made it one of the greatest shows of all time. Often, it was like watching a docu-series, and while it did have its heartbreaking moments, it also had scenes where characters would just communicate with one word. Therefore, it's no great surprise that the show ends with no melodramatic ending or satisfying arc conclusions. In fact, essentially everything just stays the same, and in this instance, that works perfectly. Like The Wire, it would have felt a little strange if Mad Men ended on a massive shootout in a similar vein to Breaking Bad, but it did end on a nuanced and thought-provoking note. The finale has Don Draper finally facing his demons as he heads to a spiritual retreat and opens up at group therapy. But it's in the final moments where the show truly shines, with some deliberately juxtaposed scenes being brilliantly ambiguous, which gave a different meaning to be interpreted by each viewer. I think it's safe to say that after Michael left the office, the show went downhill. Arguably even just before Michael left, the show was losing its edge, but post-Michael office didn't have the quality of earlier seasons. That being said, the finale was an almost pitch-perfect way to end the show, wrapping up the character journeys in a heartfelt and satisfying way, and it even had Michael making his return. Even if, for me, it was far too fleeting. Although, I get it. It was a return to form for the show, and showed that those kooky characters could still hit you with all of the feels. Arguably another show that dipped in quality in its later series is Friends. And I know people are gonna come at me for saying that, but my favorite friend is Ross, so I'm used to the hate. However, the 2-part finale is probably one of the most iconic endings in TV history. With the whole plane fiasco and the culmination of Ross and Rachel's will they won't they romance, the birth of Monica and Chandler's twins to the famous light switch moment that has been parodied time and time again, before heading off for their final trip to Central Perk, a sweet and heartwarming moment that still makes me nostalgic to this day. Continuing on with the emotional, heartwarming endings, the Cheers spin-off Frasier had a great circular moment, as Dr. Crane leaves the city he moved to at the beginning of the show. Martin and Renee's wedding served as the backdrop of the episode before they moved into all of the tear-jerking goodbyes. Frasier's final broadcast, in which he bid farewell to his listeners, and, in a meta sense, to the viewers at home, was one of the most iconic and heartwarming moments in TV history. While all of these finales are great, hence why they're in this video, there is one that really set the benchmark. MASH. MASH's feature-length final episode, dubbed Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, was the perfect series finale and established the trend of using the characters' goodbyes to one another as a stand-in for the creators' farewells to their fanbase. Meaning without it, we wouldn't have got the aforementioned finales from The Office, Friends, and Frasier. And finally, 6 Feet Under managed to encapsulate all the beautiful meditations on life and death from the prior 5 seasons in one poignant hour of television. The show, which spent most of its run capturing the emotions of loss and grief, ended by focusing on the importance of moving on, and its finale is one that has been universally loved by its fans. So that's our video. What did you make of these finales? And are there any we missed? One I would like to mention before we close out here is the finale to Blackadder Goes Forth, the 4th and final season of the classic British comedy. Set in World War I, the show moves away from its typical goofy antics to end in gut-wrenching fashion, and is arguably one of the best television episodes of all time, and one that sticks with me to this day.